Right, so the Cummins is on the chassis. Next thing is to get the axles over and get them on so it's rolling, and then try and work out how it all works. I'll need to try and find someone who's done this conversion before who can talk me through some of the bits, because I'll be honest, I don't know how the air system works or anything like that. So yeah, but progress nonetheless. As I say, axles next. Right, so I think today's job on the Cummins is to actually get it rolling. I've needed new front springs to cope with the weight. We've gone with heavy duty rear springs to go on the front, so hopefully that should hold it up, because the other original Discovery springs just let it sit on the axle and it's bump stop, so that was no good. I wanted to buy some heavy duty shocks. Unfortunately, funds haven't allowed at the moment, and I do need to get it rolling. And I do have a second-hand set of Pro Comp shocks, heavy duty, high capacity, thick ones. So I'm going to whack them on. They might be all right, but at least we can get it rolling and maybe change them at a later date. So yeah, so we've got the original HD springs that were on it to start with when it was a 300, so they'll carry on the back. As I say, we've got heavy duty rear springs for the front, so hopefully that'll hold it up. And then we can get all the axle and that attached. Now, I have got to do a little bit of prep. Where it was galved, obviously, in these are a little bit rough, so I need to file them out and chuck some zinc paint on them so it doesn't eat up the bushes. Rear ones obviously just bolt in, they're fine. Not going to do any restoration of the axles yet. I did do these when I built the truck originally, so I'm hoping they'll be okay. I mean, they'll probably need a refresh anyway, and chances are that's going to break something. So, but at least today we can get it rolling. So at least I can move it from this spot. Maybe put it next door while we work out what we're doing next. Obviously, I know it's a very simple engine, but I'm not quite sure on what does what, so I'm going to go on the old owners club and see if I can get someone to come over and go through what's what, because obviously I can't put the body on until we've done a few bits and pieces like fuel lines, brake lines, air lines, whatever have you. So yeah, today I'll get the axles mounted so it can roll. We'll see how it sits with the heavy duty springs on, and then because also we need to measure up for props, so they need to be fitted in the right place and sitting where they need to be. I know the body isn't on, so we might need to take that into account. We might have to put the body on first and see where it then sits before we measure those, but we should get a good idea anyway. So right, I will crack on. Right, got the two rear springs. Now, they're different colours. Green, yellow and white is near side. Green, yellow and red is offside on the rear. So we're going to do the same but on the front. So white will go passenger side front, red will go driver's side front. So I'll stick them in now. Well, they're on. Still might sit a bit low, but we have got to do the back. So, yeah, we'll get the shocks in the front and then start on the back. Right, well that's the front shocks and springs on, panhard rods in place. I think the steering box is going to move a little bit tight. I have read that people are using P38 ones, so I need to see what the deal is with that. I am stripping a P38 next week, so we might be able to, well I say stripping one. I'm doing a Galv chassis swap on one next week, so I can try out the steering box if need be, but I'll try and get an original one in there and see what happens. So yeah, so the front end's on. The shocks seem to work all right. We've got a bit of clearance. Don't you can see it there. Where the body goes on, I'm not quite sure them springs are good enough, but we might have to put some spring raisers on or something. Right, well, so it all depends once the back goes down and we'll see how that's sitting. So, I shall move on to the rear. Right, well the rear axle's bolted in on the trailing arms. Easiest thing to do is to leave the springs out and then bring the chassis right down low and then they'll just slide in. If you try and do it with springs at an angle, you'll have hell of a trouble. So that's the way to remove them and get them in, is to try and get the axle as level and parallel with the chassis as possible. Right, so now we'll get the springs and then the shocks on. Right, well that's the shocks all bolted on. It's now fully rolling. Haven't got the A-frame on yet because I need to get I've got a new A-frame ball joint on the bench over there. I need to get that one off and get it pushed in, or take another spare and get that pushed in and just swap them over, whatever. Obviously need to refit the tank, run some fuel lines, run some brake lines, but for now at least it's rolling. I can move it around, get it out of this spot for example, instead of keep walking around it. Obviously I've got other things in the mix at the minute. The Metro needs to carry on when funds allow. Obviously there's the body for this chassis. So it might not be, well, I don't want to put it in the barn and then forget about it because it will just sit there and sit there. Really, it should probably stay in here and get some work done, but at least I can move it out of this spot now it's rolling. So yeah. Right, so I've put the tank in from the breaker. It feels bloody full, it's really heavy. Put the fuel lines on, loosely put the sedimenter in there. I think I'm going to run them this way and then across to the fuel lines there, because obviously on the disco the pump's on this side. But for now I've just clipped them all in, run them along. I did think about rotating them 180 degrees so they come out of there and go the other way along that side to the engine. So I might possibly still do that yet. Just depends if these come undone. We might be all right. Flip it around the other way, run them down that side, move that mount to the other side. I mean, I could probably get away with doing away with the sedimenter, to be fair. But we'll see. I'll have a little look, give it a couple of coats of looking at, and then decide later. I suppose the main thing, as I say, is if they come undone, then I'll be able to rotate them. So, right, next job. Right, well, I couldn't get the pipes undone, but they did rotate enough for me to be able to move the pipes to this side. The sedimenter pipes wouldn't come undone. They were stuck in there solid, so I have removed that and I'll put a bit of fuel line to bridge the gap, but just means I've got to empty the fuel filter more often, or do the fuel filter more often. So then we've now got the disco lines on the chassis up to here. Obviously I'm not 100% sure where the body sits. Obviously I know it sits on the mounts, but what I mean is where these pipes have got to go. So I'll need to finalise that when the body goes back down. So that's that. I've noticed I need to sort the fuel tank cradle bolts out. They're just loose, so I need to sort them out. And I need to remove the A-bar ball joint. I've got a nice new one there, because that one's all, the boot's all gone on it. So I need to change that and then fit the arms. I can take that bracket off now. Where is it? That one there that was for the fuel sediment on the other side. So yeah, next thing, well, I say next thing, one of the next things is to sort props out, because obviously the rear prop's too long on the back, and the front prop is too short. So I need to try and find props that would go, or have some made. I will try a 90 prop on there, just in case. I know I'll have to change the end, which is fine. Get rid of the cush drive and just have a front flange on there. But I might try that. As for the front prop, it needs to be quite a long one. So I'm not quite sure on that yet, but we'll see. Anyway, a bit more progress on that. I'm still not sure on the front springs. They're HD rear ones, but they're still very low. So I might have to put spring spacers in there. But we'll see. Right, next job. So it just so happens I have a 90 prop on the shelf. Looks like that's going to be a winner. Excellent. So now I need to work out a front prop. But at least I've got one. Even if I have to have one custom front one made up. At least that's cheaper than two. Right, well, I'll leave this one here. We've got a few more bits done on the Cummins. I just need a Cummins man conversion expert chap type thing to come around, really, and point me in the direction of what I need to do with the engine, with regards to the air, the assisted clutch, etc, etc. I don't want to put the body on and then someone says, you really need to do this, and it would have been 10 times easier with the body off. So I have put a shout out on the page, on the Facebook page. I've had a couple of comebacks, but no one's actually volunteered to come and see me, so I'll keep trying. But anyway, for now, so like, subscribe, share, and leave us a comment. I'd really appreciate it, and we'll see you soon in another video. Cheers.